Americans have always been dreamers in the woods. In times of trouble, we turn to the wilderness for comfort. Back in the 1960s and 1970s, a whole wave of folks stopped what they were doing and started living out here. We called them dropouts, but that missed the mark by a country mile. Josh Powell is typical of the thousands who turned their backs on high-rise careers. He worked his way through law school in Atlanta, landed a job with one of the town's best-known firms, then gave it all up to run a one-man sawmill.
I came from the country. I spent the first 18 years of my life in the country. I really yearned to get back to the place where I knew I belonged to be. The 10 months that I spent downtown, I spent a lot of time thinking. I said, you know, there's some young man who really needs this office and really wants it. And here I am, a young man who doesn't need it or doesn't want it. And I hadn't been gone 15 minutes till a young gentleman took that office, and now he's a partner in that law firm, and he's happy, and Lord knows I am.
Josh Powell was born in the Kentucky Hill Country, raised on a farm. He is a self-appointed inspector of sunsets, and he missed the slight sounds of evening that lifted his ears. He wanted his daughter to live in a place where one life is threaded to another.
It's good to come out.
Yeah, it is.
There we go.
So Josh Powell bought 24 acres in the wilderness of North Georgia.
Look, Julie, look at that dog.
He worked alone and built himself a house that his wife designed from a picture they had seen on a paint can. Powell had never worked with wood before. He was not a carpenter. When he made a mistake, he simply cut down another tree and started over. Building that house, Josh Powell fell in love with this tiny sawmill. His courtroom battles were behind him.
To speak to a tree and know it doesn't speak back is worth a whole lot.
He and Ann have found they can live just as well on less.
We've not completed our landscaping here yet. I'd like to trade you something for the lumber, whatever you got.
Josh may not make as much money as he once did,
What I'd rather have is white oak.
but neighbors are eager to trade for his services.
Was it hard to give up the security?
No, I think there's no security. The problem with security is you know that's all you have, and you know that's what it's going to be, and you know what's going to be at the end of the month and what's going to be that. I find a lot more fun in getting out and seeing if you can make it on your own.
Your entire product is going to be minus that trinomial after that binomial is squared.
The Powells never did drop out. Ann teaches math at a nearby college. Josh works long and hard, like a man whose horizons are never quite at his elbows. That was something his father simply did not understand.
I did a cruel thing. I took him downtown to the office where I'd been and rode him up in that magnificent elevator, and he stepped off on those thick rugs, and he saw the antiques in the reception room, and he walked down the hall and saw all these men in suits, and he could never understand how in the world anybody could ever come out here and do something like this. But of course, he came in the generation when things weren't that way, and I guess he farmed because he had to. I saw because I want to. Sometimes you feel discouraged and you think your work's in vain.
Each dream has its season. Each dream has its song. For today, Bob Dotson, NBC News, in pursuit of the American dream in the Cherokee woods of North Georgia.